The music industry is no doubt different than it ever was today. Today, people like Taylor Swift, who rock the charts, are basically content creators. And I'm not the first one who came up with this. Rick Beato dropped it in a video and it made total sense. If you haven't seen it, watch that video. It's basically Rick Beato having a discussion with whether Taylor Swift is more popular than the Beatles were, kind of thing. And what he basically he came to the conclusion that she's basically a content creator. And what I want everyone to understand is that this translates to you just as well as it translates to her. In the world today, in order to be a successful musician, you cannot be just good at creating music. You need to be able to somehow harness that into being someone who can create content every day that somehow ties into you or your music, your personality, in some way has got to come through where people are buying into you, and that allows them to buy into your music. I have a lot of different, a lot of different analogies running through my head right now about how to really explain this and make it hit home. One of them is my brother, who is such a huge baseball fan and always was, and his dream probably when he was growing up was to be an announcer. He had a couple of dreams. One was to be a blackjack dealer, another was to be an announcer. And for sports, like for baseball. And he has the voice for it. He knows everything there is to know about the game and the history to be able to deliver amazing commentary. And he's also funny. So he builds into what he knows the funny, the comic, element that would make him very easy to watch. So I told him not long ago, I was like, look, man, if you don't want to give up on that dream, because he was basically announcing a game as it was happening on the phone. I'm like, look, I just got to tell you this. Based on what I've seen in my own, lane that I'm doing with music and videos and how to make things work today, I can tell you that you can be successful if you take what you're doing now, the way you just basically commentated the last 5 minutes of this game to me over the phone. You could take that and make a video with it every day based on the baseball you're watching that day and put that out every single day. With the way that there's like no censorship on videos today and the announcers have rules that they have to live within, but you don't, because you're just putting up videos that don't have the same sort of guidelines. You're not on a network, you can get away with things they can't get away with. And you can also just be you every day doing this. And I know you will develop a following of people who love this. And if you did it every day for a long enough time, you would break through as somebody like a Bob Menery type of person. You would absolutely break through because he's great. He's funny, he's smart, he's great, he knows all the history, he's got all the tools it would take to do it. So my point is, and he doesn't want to do it, but that's the point. I want you to realize this. It's not that there's no career in music today. It's just that you aren't willing to do what's necessary in order to achieve a career in music today. That's what it is. Thinking there's no way to do it and it's not possible, all you're really saying to me, and what I hear when you say that, is I'm not willing to do what's necessary. That's all it is. Because today, unlike yesterday, today we actually, when I say yesterday, I mean years ago, before every single person had the ability to be their own record company and put out as much stuff as they want whenever they want, and also the ability to reach people overnight, because there was no YouTube, there was none of this back in the day. So you were reliant on a label to say, hey, you're going to be a successful artist, we're going to put money into you, we're going to give you a shot. Now that doesn't happen at all, and everyone's has to basically make their own thing before anyone's ever even interested. So as other people have said, it's like there's no real point to even sign up with the label today, really. I mean, if you could do it yourself, what are they even for at that point? So the goal here is you can do it yourself, so why don't you do it yourself? And because all it takes is actually the knowledge, some sort of likability, and that usually comes from the more authentic you are, the more likable you can be. That's really all it is, because it's not about perfection. It's not about being the best. It's about being relentless, fearless every day you put stuff out, and it's about knowing something. And it doesn't even have to be about music. I have another guy I work with who's an amazing artist, great songwriter. He's just a really, really talented songwriter. And if he was, anywhere performing his songs, people would love the songs because they're great songs. But when I told him the way it works today on how to make stuff, break through, what you have to do, if you want a career in music, do this. Well, he misinterpreted that in a way because he'll put out videos that are just, they're really nothing. It's just him walking around talking or something, but it's like it doesn't offer any value. But this guy has a skill. He's particularly great at working on cars. He knows like everything there is to know about cars. And he's a body shop guy, he's a mechanic guy. He knows about cars. So the way I look at it is like, man, why don't you use that? If you could just make a video every day with value that you bring to people about what you're doing based on your knowledge and what you know, now all of a sudden you're somebody worth watching. All you got to do is put your songs in the background at that point. All you got to do is have the song going on while you're doing it. In other words, you're providing this value and then they will listen. That's the thing today. You cannot think that somebody's gonna love your stuff just based on hearing it the first time. It's not how it works. It's never really been how it works. I played shows forever. Hundreds and hundreds of shows throughout my time. I mean, hundreds. It might even be in the thousands. I don't know. But the point is, so many shows for so long with, my band and different iterations of my band, right? The most common thing ever would be you'd start playing a song for somebody, even if the band sounds great, the audience is not going to know they're supposed to like it and think it's good. There's this weird thing that happens with the human brain where with 98, I'd say 95% of people, when they listen to something that they've never heard before, they just kind of stand there staring at you. And they might like it, they might not, they don't really know yet because no one has told them they should like it yet. And that is something that's very interesting about people, is that once people start telling them they should like it, now all of a sudden they're way more likely to like it. There's a certain percentage, maybe 10%, I don't know, I'm just, spitballing numbers here. But the point is there's some percentage of people that will like things regardless of what anybody says, and they don't need anyone to tell them that it's good or not. They can just hear it and like it. But it's a small percentage, maybe 15, 20, I don't know. It's up there though, small wise, in a little percentage, not big. So, for example, there's some people that like music that doesn't sound good. And that's actually, I fall in that camp. I love certain music. Like when I would see live bands I'm talking about, that doesn't sound good. If they were something wacky and was terrible, I would still sometimes be just drawn to it and like almost, I would look for something to like. And I don't think a lot of people are like that. I think it's a rare thing, but I think it's also, it comes from a place of like loving music so deeply that it doesn't matter what it is you can pick that you like, you will find something to like. And that's I don't know if it's a skill or not. All I know is it's something I possess. And it's also, I notice some people can hear something for the first time and love it or not. It's like people do that, but it's rare. The majority of the population hears something, and unless they're being told that it's great because it's being played so many times, multiple times at them, and they're hearing it from multiple people telling them it's great, and now all of a sudden it's everywhere, then they like it. That's the majority. So you can't expect you to play your song and then for people to like it and you to just walk around and talk for a second about, who you are and where you're from. How many videos can you make about who you are, where you're from? Like, you just can't make that many. It's not possible. So what you have to do is hone into the skills that you have, because your individual skill set from your life experiences and everything you've learned is different than everyone else. You could have the most weird, ridiculous skills that nobody else has on something, and it doesn't have to be anything that's worth anything. It could just be a set of skills that you were really good at, like throwing cards that stick in the wall, or doing card tricks, or pulling rabbits out of hats. I mean, everything is magic in my head right now. I don't know why, but it could be anything. It could be, playing hacky sack. It could be twirling a pencil around your fingers. Whatever your skill is that you are really good at, that you've honed, and hopefully it's a skill that can provide others value, because that's what I found today is as soon as you can give people one of probably two or three things, I don't know how many it is, let me go through it. The first thing I've noticed is if it somehow relaxes them because it's one of these things, like this is why people watch certain videos, right? They'll watch somebody clean a lawn up because it's so like mind calming to watch something go from messy to clean and do the time lapse where it's sped up. It's so mind calming. So anything you do that's related to that and you tie your song in, you're golden. Game over, you win. Okay. So also any skill thing where you can offer people something that they don't know how to do that you know how to do, all of a sudden now game over, you win. So like some of these things, it's like just come up with it, whatever it is that you do well, then do it every day. And I don't care if you're 70 years old. You can learn how to use a camera. You can learn how to use the editing software. You can learn how to use, social media to post stuff every day. You could learn how to do everything if you want it bad enough. And if you don't say there's no career in music. Just say I'm not willing to do it, because that's really the truth. Because learning takes time and it's effort. And you got to learn how to do everything, everything. You don't think it was enough for me that I learned how to do mixing? Then I learned how to do mastering. Now I had to learn how to do video just to get a video up that looks half decent. Then I got to learn how to edit video. I got to learn you got to learn what lens to buy and what camera and you have to learn so many things, how to set the lighting up. You have to learn a million things if you want to break through and be successful today, but you can because you have access to everyone, and everyone will listen to you if you are someone worth listening to who shows up every day. Because that's what it is today. You should look at it like the attention span of people is short. It is. That's why if I go too long on videos, they just don't get as many views. That's true. But the fact that their attention span is constant. Every day people are looking for a release, and their release is now being fed information. A lot of people love information. So you give them information that helps, and then they will listen to you. They will listen to your music if you tie it in with that. You can't just play the music and say you're an artist from wherever and that's it. And just different places, come check out my music. That never works. It's not going to work. You provide value and then they will stick around. Then more people will stick around. And all of a sudden you've got something. But shed the fear. You cannot be any fear, and you need to be that authentic self, which means flaws and all. That's why I don't edit out my mistakes. That's why when I sit there stuttering and I'm like, I leave it in the videos, because I don't care if I come off like a stuttering fool. At least that's who I was in that moment, and that's what you guys see, and that's what's important to me, is just being me, because I know what works. That's what works. You have to be you, whatever that is, and you are different than every single other person. So don't think that now you're going to be lost in a sea of whatever, because the truth is there's always going to be that certain amount of people, that certain amount that will never be willing to do it. There's too much work. They can't possibly figure out how to use a camera and lenses and which one's the right one and how to set the lighting up. They can't possibly fail and make the worst video ever 1,700 times before they make a good one. They can't possibly figure out how to do a video that anybody's good. There's always going to be enough people that feel that way. So you will be alone more quick than you think. You will survive. You will get above this cream. You will rise to the top. That's what it is. You will rise above everybody else quicker than you think, because less people than you realize can even do that consistently every day and continue to provide value. Because it takes that mindset of no matter how tired you are, no matter how much you work in your other job, because that's the other thing is like not everybody has the ability to do just this. I totally get that. So let me just say that's what it is, though, to want to be an entrepreneur. And by saying that it's impossible to have a career in music, it's not true. You're just saying it's impossible for you to become an entrepreneur, because the people who want to become entrepreneurs, they work tirelessly after their job. They don't want to do hobbies. They do this. That's all they do. They want to make this work. So that's where they put all their time when they're tired, when they don't want to, every single day, because they know that's what it takes to rise above. They know, and it's got nothing to do with, some people mention, like, you know, they don't want to be around narcissistic personalities or whatever. You guys don't seem to realize you could be a narcissist and have literally nothing. You could be a narcissist who one time did well, won the lottery at one time, or not, and then still you could have nothing and be a narcissist. Or you could have a lot and be in the music business and be a narcissist. The two have nothing to do with each other. The only thing that the people in the music business who succeed have is this tenacity, the drive that I will never be shut down. I will continue to do this until the end, and nobody and nothing nobody says is going to stop me. Because there will always be people telling you it's not possible. Always be people telling you better just buy a lottery ticket. That's the same thing. And those are the same people who will never, ever, ever be willing to put in the work every single day the way it takes to make it today. Because that's the thing. That's the thing, man. One thing. Every day, tenacity, no matter how much you're tired and you don't want to do it, and you'd rather go out and have a friendly weekend with your friends and go chill and do whatever, go to the beach. And I mean, I know, trust me, I know, but you either want that, you either want to be comfortable, or you want to be an entrepreneur who works in music in some way or another. Because that's the thing. There are jobs out there that you could actually create your own lane. You don't need to go to school for it. You could learn everything you need to know for free on the internet these days. And that's why I don't charge for any, like all my YouTube content, everything I put up, there's not a link for getting paid for nothing. And there's also every single one is actually trying to get you to learn something, and it's all free content. You realize that? So my point is, and I'm not the only one, there's tons of people that do that. So what I'm saying is you could get every piece of knowledge you want to possibly get. It's all out there today. Anything you need to know is free. Figure it out. You can get all the information. Who's willing to do the work? This is why David Goggins resonates with everybody who's serious. He resonates because even if you can't picture yourself being him, just try. Just try to every day work like that. And then you see what happens. And then you will laugh in the face of every single person who tells you that it's not possible. And every single person who tells you, you know, this career ain't possible. That doesn't happen today. This isn't likely. You will laugh in the face of all of them. And this has nothing to do with YouTube clicks. I know I can't change the mind of those people. As soon as you get, you know, through to enough people, there's always going to be those weeds in the ground. There always will be. There's a whole beautiful, you know, field of grass and a few weeds, and that's how it is. So don't be the weed, but those people will always exist, so I can't change their mind. But what you can do is be the person that actually does the work, and then you see what happens. If you never do the work, you'll always regret it. And you have just as much of a chance of being a miserable person who's a narcissist, who hates everyone, who literally is a destructive force to the world. You have more of a chance of being that person if you never tried than if you did try. Because I'm telling you, you will get somewhere. It might not be exactly where you're thinking, but you will get to a point further than other people where now all of a sudden other doors are open. And once that happens, who knows where you'll wind up? It could be in a field slightly left of what you thought you were going to be doing, and it will still work. Who knows where it'll work? But my point is, just doing the things you want to do enough consistently will get you closer to this future you want, this job you want, all right? Every once in a while, you get a real one of these from me because this is everything. And I get really sick of these people saying it ain't possible. I get sick of them because I see what's happening with my own channel. 6 months ago, I didn't have near the amount of subscribers and people listening that I have right now. And it's the fact that I offer something valuable, and it's also the fact that I do it consistently. So everybody should look at it like they can too. because we all have something to bring to the table. And even if it's not mixing and mastering, it's got nothing to do with it. Like, it could have nothing to do with music. As long as you bring that value to the table every day and make your music a part of it, you will win. And I don't want to see anybody who watches this channel use any ridiculous services that are supposed to create your image for you or help you with the release or be basically a publishing company. The publishing company, like, what? Not a publishing company. That's not the right term. A publicist. That's what I meant. Years ago, publicists were like the last going scam of all time. Like back when people, like before YouTube and stuff, you would pay a publicist, they'd get articles written about you, they'd try to get you this and that. It was such a scam. You'd pay them like monthly, a lot of money, and they would do nothing. They would do nothing, literally nothing. And maybe some of them did something for somebody once, and after that, they would just, tons of them would ride on the coattails of whatever that one thing was and just take everybody's money. So what I'm saying is these people still exist in a different form today, and the forms they use today is everything I described about how, like, they'll help you with your release, they'll build your profile, they'll build your whatever, you know, create an artist thing. They convince people who think it's outside of their ability to be able to do great with social media, with making their own content. They convince those people that they need their help. And it's absolute ridiculous nonsense. The way to make it is how I described, and it doesn't matter how old you are, you devote the time necessary to learning how to do it. Because if you can't do that, you'll never get through. There's so many times you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to do that about the camera to make sure everything's right in the lens and the lighting. You're going to have to get that all right. And that might have nothing to do with what you're trying to teach, but you got to learn that. So why is that, learning that, any harder than it is to learn how to work these social media platforms? It's not. And we'll learn how to post a video a day and learn how to figure out how to put keywords that make sense and figure out how many words should be on your thumbnail and figure out how to, why is it hard? It's not. Just learn it. And then you don't have to have all these excuses about how it's not possible. It is possible. You just have to do all this work. It is possible. And some people may be like, oh man, it's a lot of work. Yeah, well, it ain't for you then. You know, it is a lot of work, but if you look at it like, oh, it's too much work, then it's too much work. If you look at it like it's just what I'm doing now, then it's just what you're doing now. And you could handle it. Trust me, you could handle it. I didn't think I could handle it. But guess what? I decided I was going to handle it, and now I can handle it. You could do the same thing. I want you to realize that everybody who ever decided to become successful had this mental conversation with themselves and said, I'm going to do it now. And then they don't mess around. That's how Rogan got where he is. That's how everybody got where they are. You're tired? Keep going. Oh, you don't want to do it? Oh, yeah? Well, now you're everybody else. You want to not be everybody else? Then you do it when you don't want to do it. That's when you do it. Consistently. Every day. That's how you do it. Very simple. All right. I'm going to leave you with that. If you dug it, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this.